Well, guys, like the spectre at the feast, the thing we always knew was going to happen has happened to Kemar Roofe. Kemar, obviously, who had that hip operation over the summer to try and rectify all his injury issues. Roofe had come back and he looked pretty sharp, scoring that goal in his first game back, way back when, against was County, I think it was. But at the end of the day, he had shown good touches. He played well. He'd actually scored 2 goals, which were wrongly, in my opinion, disallowed by VAR. Particularly obviously that Old Firm game that the goal was disallowed for, well, literally no reason whatsoever. Especially when you consider that Abdallah Seema's goal was allowed to stand last night. It seems really bizarre, doesn't it? That goal was allowed to stand, yet that one back in the Old Firm game suddenly is not allowed to stand. Strange, that, isn't it? Strange. Celtic are involved. Celtic get a decision go for them. VAR decision go for them. They get other decisions go for them. Some would almost say there's a correlation there, but let's not get into that. That's a conspiracy theory. That's a completely different podcast. But news about Kemar Roofe's injury. Now, Kemar came off at half-time yesterday. Now, Kemar's had some unfair stick, in my opinion, for his performance last night. And I certainly gave him a high rating yesterday for the fact that he played very much kind of like that false 9 role and dropped back into midfield and kind of made like an extra man. It was linking up the play, and yet fans have branded his performance awful and rubbish. I wholly disagree with that. I think there's some very blind fans watching the game yesterday when it came to Kemar Roofe's performance. He was certainly better than the absolute garbage that was Searle when he came onto the field. Now, Michael Beale, though, has spoken of the fact that he is not happy, though, with Kemar Roofe and his injury, but not in terms of the fact that Roofe's injured, more in terms of the fact that Kemar Roofe didn't alert the coaching staff and the medical staff quick enough to his injury. This is what Beale had to say. He said Kemar has a slight problem with his groin. He felt it probably midway through the first half. He should have probably asked to come off, in all fairness, and we just had that chat in there. So it sounds like Michael Beale has had that discussion with Kemar Roofe and said that, Kemar, you should have indicated that you weren't, you were feeling a twinge, you were feeling a tightness in your groin, and you could therefore would have come off at that point. You shouldn't have played the whole of that first half. The situation is this: if you play the whole of a half like that, you can necessarily worsen an injury, can't you, when you do that? And if you try and run it off, that's perhaps what Kemar Roofe has done. Beale went on to say this: Kemar, I'll have to speak with the medical team, but he felt his groin is bitterly disappointed as we're trying to find a rhythm as a team. We're finding a rhythm as far as results, but if you look at the amount of gifted forwards we've got, it's not easy. Now, let's just have a look at that quote. So obviously Michael Beale did say that he was unsure as to how long Kemar Roofe would be out for with this groin problem, which is a massive concern considering he is the best finisher at the club, given the fact that Danilo is out, given the fact that Lammers has yet to hit the ground running, given the fact that Cyril Dessers is just absolute plain garbage. We don't really have now a out-and-out goal scorer until Danilo returns after the international break. So it is, upsetting that Roofe isn't fit. Roofe looked really good in that Betis game, that front three at that time of Matonda, who's now out injured as well. Seema and Roofe looked really, really good. And look, he was finding a rhythm. He was looking lively. He was, getting into opportunities to start to score goals. I think he, would have definitely been up and running again with goals very soon. But this injury is going to hold him back massively. But as we said, it's kind of like a standard thing with him, isn't it, that Kemar gets injured. You talk about the fact that the amount of gifted forwards we've got. Well, like I said, at this moment in time, we are sadly lacking in it due to injuries. Really caught up with Rangers, haven't they? In terms of obviously Danilo been out, in terms of Cantwell been out, in terms of Luntz been out, in terms of now Roofe been out. It leaves us very much with just Lammers and Dessers, which does slightly concern me, as Lammers is not really a natural goal scorer and Cyril Dessers is just not a goal scorer. So it does worry me going forward. Last season when we were missing strikers like Morelos and Cholak, for players like Fashion Sakala took up the gap there, didn't he? But look, we've just got to hope that this Roofe injury is not that serious, that he can get back sooner rather than later, and maybe also that Danilo will be back sooner rather than later. I think Danilo is definitely the best of the forwards we do have, though. Hopefully, when he is back, Beale will get him back in the starting lineup as soon as possible. Well, guys, if you've enjoyed the content, please hit that sub, ring that notification bell, and as always, 2 things I need you to do for me. Number 1, smash the like, and number 2, remember, we are